Hi, and welcome back to this series of A Coach's View of. And today I'm going to talk about a coach's view of life. Now, that's a massive subject, and it's not going to be as broad as it sounds. So, life in this context is a coaching exercise. And I came across this, I was looking back at some coaching models and stuff that I used during my qualification, and this one popped up, and I had a look at it, and I thought, actually, that's a really useful one. And I do use it occasionally, or a version of it, but it's a really useful exercise that you can go through on your own with a notebook. And it can be really good to unpick where you are at the moment. If you've got something that you want to change in your life, it can give you some clarity on the next steps. And if you're thinking of working with a coach, then it's a really good exercise to do so that you know what you need help with and you've got a starting point, essentially. So it can save some time in the initial stages of coaching. So life is the exercise, and we love an acronym in coaching. So LIFE stands for various things. I'm just going to run through that. I have got a note up here to remind me of what it stands for. So if I'm looking up here, that's why. So L stands for lifestyle. So this is essentially a sort of a visualization exercise, if you like. So if you're thinking of making a change, whether that is maybe changing your job, maybe you want to build a business, maybe you want to start a new relationship, or anything, any change that you want to make in your life, it's really helpful to get an idea of what you want your lifestyle to look like. Now, it may be that there are things that you don't want to change that much. There are really important things in your life that you want to hang on to. And I think that's a common misconception about coaching. And I know I had this fear when I started being coached myself, that you've got to sort of burn everything to the ground and start again, and you're going to potentially lose things in your life that you actually quite like to stay. I definitely had that slight fear when I started coaching, and it's been completely unfounded. I found that the things that I wanted to keep in my life, I have kept, and they've become enhanced. My relationships with people are better. I'm more grateful for the stuff that I do like in my life. But if you're looking to make a change, it's really important to get clear on what you want your lifestyle to look like. So, for example, if you were thinking of changing your job, what do you want the non-negotiables to be in your new job? Do you want to only work school hours? Do you want to only work term time? Do you want to work 9 to 5 Monday to Friday? Do you always want to have weekends off? Are you happy to work shifts? What does your lifestyle look like in this new version of your life? And again, it's really important to get clear on what are your non-negotiables. What are you absolutely not prepared to compromise on? And what areas is there some space to compromise if the right thing comes along? So that's a really good place to start. And as I say, you can start that with a visualization exercise. You can say, okay, what's my perfect day in my new life? What's my perfect week look like? What's my perfect month look like? Who am I doing this with? Am I working with a team? Am I working on my own? Um, what is it that what do I want to be doing? What feels really aligned with me at the moment? So that's L, that's lifestyle. Second one, I, is for impact. So what impact do you want to make on your life? What impact do you want to make on the world? What are the things that are really important to you? And another useful exercise to do at this point is, if you've never done it, is to do a values exercise. So if you get really clear on what your values are, then that can help with decision making, because if an opportunity comes along which doesn't align with your values, then it's a really easy no. You can just say, no, it's definitely not. It's not even going to take up brain space. I know that just doesn't fit with me. So impact can be, as I say, maybe if you're starting a business, what impact do you want to make on the world? What's the why behind it? And finding your why is really, really important. And this is where coaching can really, really help, because finding your why is what drives everything. And in coaching, we're always looking for the why behind the why, because sometimes this is all going to be letters. It's very confusing. I've said Y and L and I and F and E. If you say, well, I want to do A, and I say, well, why do you want to do A? You might say, oh, because then it enables me to do B. Okay, that's great. So we've established that B is the real goal. do you need to do A in order to get to B, or is there another way around it? Can you go straight to B? Can you go to C first and come backwards? Sorry, this is a lot of letters that are confusing the issue, but there's often a why behind a why. So if your why is, I want to do this in order to do that, can you get to that first? Is there a sneaky back door, or is there a quicker way to do it? Or are we really clear on what the why behind it is? So that's impact. F is the slightly practical and boring one. F stands for finance. So obviously, it'd be lovely if we didn't need money, but we do in this world. So what are the non-negotiables in terms of finance? Do you need to be earning the same amount as you are at the moment? Have you got a pot of money put by that's going to keep you going in the first few months of a business? What is the absolute limit, minimum limit that you can earn and be okay? Because often, maybe if you're thinking of changing careers completely and you're going to have to go in at the entry level of a new career, what does that level look like, and can you survive on that? As I say, it's quite a boring practical thing to look at, but it's really, really vitally important, because if you're starting a new creative venture, whether that's a business or a new job or whatever, if you're struggling financially, that puts you straight into survival mode, and that is going to block your creativity because you're so focused on getting through the month and making sure the bills are paid. You've really not got space for anything else in your head, and that can really cause problems. And I really look deeply enough into that and know that they're going to be okay. Finally, E stands for emotion. How do you want this new life to make you feel? How do you want to feel when you're living this life? What is the overriding emotion in your life at the moment? What is the emotion that's maybe blocking you from getting to that this new life? And E can also stand for energy. So when you think about this new venture that you're going to take on, does it give you energy, or is it draining your energy? We can pay close attention to our feelings because they are a signpost to something being right or wrong, or something needing some attention. So what's the overriding emotion when you think about this new life? Hopefully it'll be a positive one. If there is any other emotions in there, what we might term negative emotions, what's the reason behind that? Is it just sort of a healthy, slightly excited nervousness? Is there a real fear there? And where's that coming from? Is that fear justified, or is it just your brain trying to keep you safe and keep you in your comfort zone? So that's the life exercise. I hope that's been helpful. As I said, it's really a really useful exercise to do if you're embarking on something new, to get some real clarity on what it is that you want your life to look like, the reason behind making this change. And as I said, if you can get really clear on these things, then decision making becomes a lot easier, because if something comes into your orbit that doesn't fit with these things, so well, my life's not going to look like that, so it's a very easy no, I don't need to do that. And it sort of keeps you open to possibilities. I'm not one for looking at a very fixed view of how something it has got to look, because that can often sort of put blinkers on us and we're not noticing possible opportunities that are coming from different views. So it doesn't have to be a set in stone. It absolutely has to look like this, but to have an idea of how you want your life to look and how you want it to feel and what's really important to you and what the practical financial aspects of it are, to have that in place before you start embarking on making more difficult decisions or working with a coach to get some to flesh it out a little bit. It's a really good framework to start from. If you want me to send you this in written form, I do have it in written form. I also have a values exercise that I can send to you. So please do contact me if you want me to send you that. You can either go via my website, which is karenastle.com, go onto the contacts page, and there's a form to fill in. And if you put in the comments, please send values exercise, I can email that straight out to you. You can just email me direct on karenastlecoaching@gmail.com. Or you can contact me on Facebook or LinkedIn. So as I say, I hope that's been useful. I hope that's been a useful exercise for you. And if you want to talk about it more, please do get in touch. And I'm really, really happy to have a conversation with you about what that might look like for you. Have a great day, and I will catch up with you again soon. Bye for now.